So I know and same to your point where some of you don't know some of the guys. So, there's the Rocks, there's the John Cena's, there's the CM Punks, there's the Hardy Boys, there's all these superstars. But then there's a crop under them, right? And so how's it work as far as payment, sponsors? Is it similar to UFC? Because in the UFC, you have your top 4% who make crazy money. You're talking they're living the life. Then there's the rest guy who they're on the grind, man. It's a job. They get done. They have to have that to pay the bills, and they have to fight next to pay the bills. Is it the same in the WWE? Like, is there structures?
Oh, it's the exact same, man. If you want to, you want to be on top of that card, and then back in the day, I say back in the day, you blow smoke up my ass, but I'm talking back in the day when the Attitude Era, because I can speak from experience, from being. Dude, I've jerked the curtain. I've made $15 a night, and I'm making 400 miles round trip, and, I can't even afford to buy food. My buddies are putting gas in the car. So I know the pay structure from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. So bottom line is you're going to get paid on that house. If they ain't shit in the seats, you ain't going to make much money. But the guy on top is going to make the most. And so, like back in the day, all the guys, invested. Jesse Ventura was talking about, hey, man, we need a union. All the guys band together and then we can make demands and control some of our destiny or this, that, or whatever. It's like, hey, man, you can sell that to the middle guys and the bottom guys, but going back to your point.
The top guy's like, why the fuck would I do that?
Top guy's like,
I'm talking to Royce. That's the problem. Yeah. That's the problem, Steve.
I love you guys, but I ain't got nothing to complain about.
That's the problem, though.
Do you take and look at the same thing. If you're a big star in Hollywood, you're making a shitload of money, and everybody else on the card, so to speak, the call sheet.
Yeah.
You've been around the horn a few acting sets, so
the
lower your number is on that sheet, the less you're going to get paid.
Yeah. But how's it work as far as, like, if I'm a guy on the in the WWE, and I'm a guy, I don't know how it works as far as there's the main card, there's like 5 matches or however, 10 matches, and I'm one of the first guys, like, what kind of payment am I... Do I need a second job? Because there's some guys in the UFC who are like, I need a second job. I need to start making lattes at Starbucks so I get some benefits so I can, make ends meet.
Well, a lot of guys that are, on the road these days, I mean, they're making ends meet, but it's not like they got money falling out of their ass. When you're jerking the curtain, that's what we call that. If you open a match, the first half of that card is what it is, man. I mean, you got to understand. Back when I was doing that shit in 89, 90, 91, starving, you can't eat. That's called paying your dues.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got to pay your dues. And I always tell people it is incumbent upon yourself to learn the pay system, the structure. It's like, I'd be interested in knowing your thoughts on, as a fighter, what you can get, how do you determine your worth? When all of a sudden you've got the UFC, I mean, they're the ones putting all the shit on. You're just a fighter, or I'm just a wrestler. How do you determine your fair market value?
Yeah.
But to go back to you asking me that question, you got to learn the system. You got to learn when you get enough leverage to say, hey, man, and you do this in a politically correct way with the right person, set the tone and set the table for the talk. Man, I'm really getting hot here. I'm starting to move some shit. Merch. People are starting to respond to me. Don't get me wrong. It's a synergistic relationship. They need you, but you need them. It's their spaceship, and it's their rocket pack they're putting on you. But they can put that rocket pack on anybody, but they can't send them to the moon if the guy can't carry his load. So it's really a give or take type thing. But, when I first came in there, I was making decent money in WCW. When I started working in ECW, I wasn't making shit because I was just one night a week in Philly, but I learned how to cut promos. My first year when I went to WWF, I made $100,000 less than my last year in WCW 2 years prior. And I talked to Vince. I said, hey, man, kind of like to talk to you about my money. He goes, oh, such and such dollars. That's pretty good money for a first-year WWF superstar. And I'm thinking, really? I didn't think it was worth a shit. I didn't tell him that. Yeah. I said, all right, I knew that I wasn't in a position to start bucking the system yet or asking for more. And anyway, everything started heating up. The Stone Cold character was. And with that, your knowledge and your relationship with Vince, who we affectionately refer to as the old man. But when you start getting close to the old man, You know that they're leaning on you. They're depending on you to draw money. All of a sudden, when you've got asses in the seats and you're proving that you're putting the asses in the seats, just continue the discussions. And it's always a work in progress, but it's done in the right tone with the right respect. If you don't ever ask for more money, Brendan, you ain't ever going to get more money. I mean, you'll get a percentage more, but you'll never realize what you can ultimately make if you don't buck for it.
Yeah, but with that, so how, like in the contracts in WWE are structured how? It's because in the UFC it's 6-fight deal. So let's say I get through 3 fights, I'm like, I'm on defeat here, man. You got me fighting for, I'm fighting this monster. I need more money. Sometimes they'll work with you a little bit. Usually, like, well, you got 3 more fights, homeboy. Like, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, you finish this out, then we'll talk. You win those other 3, you're probably ranked top 5, then we'll talk. So how's that work in WWE? Do you find like certain bout agreements? Like, is it just whenever?
Man, I just can't remember when I first went in there. I just signed a starving rock and roll artist contract. Back in the days that the guys
sign your soul away.
We know you're going to take care of us. But you sign away everything, and guys like that don't make shit. So I signed a couple of those, and then you get burned, and then you go back to the table and you renegotiate. If it's time because you're putting ass in the seats. But I don't know how the contracts work anymore because, man, I got out of the business in 2003. So I know the guys, there's like a downside guarantee. Like at the end of the day, this is the least you'll
make.
Yeah. So, there's kind of like, it's not called a retainer. That's the least they'll make. They're on the road, but the upside is unlimited.
Huge. Yeah.
And so, like, I can remember, I won't say what my downside was. It was a good amount. But my upside, when you're doing business and you're putting asses in seats and you're selling a shitload of merch, Vince McMahon is going to take care of your ass. And I can vouch for that because downside didn't mean shit. The upside was really to the moon.
Business is booming. And how's it with the merchandise? Did you have say in the merchandise? You get a percentage of it? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a guy, when it came to merchandise and UFC selling stuff, I always want to do my own thing because I'm a guy, I like style, I like design. So I'm always like, no, I want to do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
How'd that work with you guys?
Well, with the merch, we came out with quick story. Told it a million times. I'll give it to you on your show.
Please.
When I first came in, they'd brought Mick Foley, Mark Henry, Big Van Vader, and Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrill, and myself. Out of all those guys, they were pushing those 4. Hell, Mark was coming out of the 96 Olympics. This was right at 96. I came here in 95, but it was 96. They'd already had red, white, and blue stuff made for him. This guy's he's going to be a guaranteed success, and Mark's had a great career. But they didn't have nothing for me. And so I always remember Jimmy Miranda, very good friend of mine. Everybody loved him to death. And he was in charge of the merch. And I said, God damn it. I said, Jimmy, the office got any ideas, T-shirts for me? Nope, Stephen, they don't. I had shit for everybody else, but I have nothing for me. I always talk with Jimmy every time we go to TV or pay-per-view, whatever. And finally, I cut the famous Austin 316 because Stone Cold said so promo, and all of a sudden, Jimmy comes up to me. He goes, Steven, guess what? I said, what? He goes, Alphys finally wants to do a T-shirt for you. You got any ideas? I said, you goddamn right.
Hell yeah.
Put Austin 316 on the front of a shirt, put a skull on the back, and carve in Stone Cold. So, yes. At that point on, that was, I think, probably ended up being the number 1 selling T-shirt in history of wrestling. So from that point on, I just started controlling, because of the way that the shirt sold, I was very hands-on. I'll say it that way. I had full approval. I would direct them. I would have ideas. This is back in days when we used to wear fanny packs, and I always had a pen, piece of paper, along with a bunch of other shit.
You can still rock a fanny pack. Rogan does.
But I mean, you gotta have. I would be driving down the road. I'd see shit, Fighter and the Kid. That's a cool looking logo. I'd write down Fighter and the Kid.
Yeah.
Any kind of billboard, anything I saw that I thought could translate or lead me to an idea for a T-shirt. Going down the road, I'd write it down, put it in my fanny pack, come up with a T-shirt from it, and then licensees and other people would send me the artwork. Nah, I like that, but change this. So I was very hands-on. As far as the percentage was negotiable.
Yeah.
I don't know how negotiable it is these days.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was very hands-on on that, and you can do very well in merchandise. And so I always preach to the guys, make sure you stay on top
Are
of
a
merch.
lot of guys like that, though? Because obviously you're a unique character where you care about those details and stuff like that, where a lot of other wrestlers, were they so hands-on when it comes to that stuff?
I always looked to, growing up, one of my favorite bands was Kiss. And they were kind of like I won't say they were the first to really go heavy on merch, but they were the people. They were the first who really thrived and pushed it.
Yes, sir.
And so I kind of modeled my approach just after what Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, and they were the kind of brains. Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, a little more partiers, but Gene specifically was a hardcore businessman. So I was just like, okay, I read his books and all that other stuff. But that was just me taking control, of my T-shirts. These days with the power structure,
smart,
with
man.
what it is, I had leverage. I don't know that there's anybody in the business other than John Cena right now who has leverage. He has a great relationship with Vince and the entire organization. He's their guy. So is Brock Lesnar. But those guys could actually walk into a room at any time and say, hey, man, let's talk about this if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Whereas someone, that's not really just now getting in the system.
There's no way.
The fact that they even got a shirt for you, you're pretty lucky.
Yeah,
so
shut
you
your
don't want
mouth.
to push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just STFU and going down the road until it comes time to have that talk.
And so, but when we talk about these negotiations with Vince and whoever the power at B is at WWE, is there an agent present or are you guys doing it yourself?
Man, there's a couple contracts I negotiated with. It was 3 against 1. I was the one. And they're sitting there, good guy, good cop, bad cop, kind of good or bad cop, just flip-flop, to totally mind-fuck you. And I'm like, man, and I can't remember. One night I was at the house in Texas. I had a busted knee, and I called Vince at the wee hours of the night. I said, man, how about this? And I laid out a series of numbers for him over a given period of years. And he says, Steve, you drinking that fire water? I go, I'll see you at TV on Monday. I said, all right, catch you later.